Brothers, sisters, my beloved stars, it's no coincidence that you're here now. It's not chance, it's not an algorithm, it's not mere curiosity. If these words reached you at this specific moment, it's because the heavens decided to interrupt your routine before the world fills with noise again. Some messages arrive like a gentle, almost imperceptible caress, and others arrive with the weight of absolute silence. That silence that announces there is no time. I'm not here to entertain you today. I'm not here to speculate today. Today I come to warn you with love, with firmness, and with the authority that is not mine, but that of the Virgin Mary. Lucero, listen with an open heart. What will happen on December 12th will not begin with shouts or sensational headlines. It will begin in the most disconcerting way for the modern world, with an inner change, with a strange feeling of stillness, with a premonition that many will not be able to explain, but that you will feel as a gentle weight on your chest, as if the very air were holding its breath. Before dawn, something will align. The Virgin Mary has revealed that this will not be an ordinary day. It will not be just another date on the calendar. It will be a threshold, a turning point invisible to those who sleep and crystal clear to those who watch. Because when heaven decides to speak, it does so not to frighten, but to awaken those who still have ears to hear. Many will go about their day as if nothing has happened. They'll get up, check their phones, argue over trivial matters, and plan for the future as if everything were guaranteed. But you who are here, will carry a different unease. You will feel something approaching, not as an external threat, but as an internal revelation. Luceros, I want to ask you something now. Without breaking the flow of this message, if these words resonate with you, write Amen in the comments. Not as a word for me, but as a spiritual mark, a sign that you are awake. And also write the country from where you are watching, because this warning does not belong to just one place. And remain in this space of vigil. Do not extinguish your lamp. The Virgin Mary has shown that not all countries will experience this sign in the same way. Heaven does not act randomly. Each nation involved represents a different spiritual state, a wound, a mission, and a distinct trial. That is why the warning will be gradual, like bells that first ring in the distance before filling the entire valley with their sound. The first country to feel this signal will do so through something very particular: unease in homes. It won't be a visible catastrophe. It will be a change in atmosphere. People who didn't pray will feel an inexplicable urge to be silent. Families who lived in constant tension will experience strange moments of calm, followed by uncomfortable questions, as if something invisible were reorganizing the inside of their homes. In this place, many will feel the urge to light a candle, even if they've never done so before. Others will awaken in the early morning for no apparent reason, their hearts racing but without any clear fear. The Virgin has indicated that this first nation will be touched gently but persistently, like a call that cannot be ignored, even if it is not yet understood. I won't say his name yet, not because it's a secret, but because heaven doesn't give everything away all at once. The important thing is that you understand the pattern. When the signal begins, it doesn't start outside, it starts inside. As time draws closer to that appointed day, the routine will begin to feel heavy. Words will lose their power, distractions will offer no solace, and many will say, "I don't know what's wrong with me, but I feel like something isn't right." That phrase will be repeated on thousands of lips without any visible cause to explain it. Lucero, this is where many fail, because the world will tell you it's anxiety, it's tiredness, it's stress. But you know that's not it. It's preparation. The second country will begin to feel the signal differently, more externally, more connected to the accelerated pace of life. There, what will break first will not be the silence, but the false sense of control. People accustomed to having all the answers will begin to feel disoriented. Decisions that once seemed clear will become confusing. Solid projects will begin to falter without any immediate logical explanation. In this place, the sign will manifest as collective exhaustion, not only physical, but mental and spiritual as well. People will feel they are running, but not moving forward, that they are producing, but not fulfilling, that they are talking a lot, but saying nothing. And amidst this internal noise, a dangerous question for the modern world will emerge. What if all this isn't enough? The Virgin has shown that in that country, many will awaken not out of devotion, but out of emptiness, an emptiness that nothing material can fill. And that emptiness will be the door through which the warning will enter. I won't say his name yet either, because there is still something essential to understand. Not everyone will react well. Some, sensing the warning, will try to silence it. They will try to distract themselves more, consume more, run faster. They will scoff at those who speak of a warning. They will say that everything is the same. But deep down, they will know that something has changed. And that denial will be part of the test. The third country will begin to feel the signal emotionally. There, the wound is old. There are accumulated pains, stories of struggle, tears hidden beneath strong smiles. In that place, many people will begin to experience memories they thought they had overcome. Old dreams will return. Guilt, regret, and desires for reconciliation will appear without warning. The Virgin has revealed that in this country, the warning will touch the soul's memory. People who have gone years without forgiving will feel the urge to do so, not out of weakness, but out of weariness from carrying what they no longer need to carry. Others will feel the desire to return to the prayer they abandoned long ago, not out of fear, but because something within them will say, "It is now." Stars, this country will experience tears, but they will not be tears of destruction, but of purification. I won't tell you his name yet, because there's still one more. And that last one will be the most tested. The Virgin Mary has been clear. One of the four countries will feel the sign most intensely, not because it is worse, not because it is doomed, but because its role will be decisive. There, the warning will not be subtle. It will be impossible to ignore. It will be the point where many will scoff, and many others will suddenly awaken. But it's not time to reveal it yet. Before that, I need you to understand something fundamental. This is not meant to create panic. It is to form strong stars, people who do not break when the world shakes. So if you're here, if you're still listening, if you feel these words carry weight, stay. Don't turn off your lamp, because what I'm revealing now is just the beginning. In the next part, we will begin to identify these nations more clearly, and you will understand why December 12th will not be remembered as just any day, but as the moment when the heavens decided to say, "There is no time to sleep anymore." Stay, listen, and keep an eye on things. The Virgin Mary has not yet finished speaking. Brothers, sisters, my beloved star, we continue because heaven does not withhold a message when there are still hearts waiting to awaken. If you are still here, it is because something within you recognized that these words are not noise. They are a warning. They are preparation. They are mercy. I want you to take a deep breath for a moment, because what comes next demands inner silence. Not uncomfortable silence, but the kind of silence that allows the soul to listen. The Virgin Mary has shown that as December 12th approaches, the sign will cease to be a vague intuition and will begin to take shape in the daily lives of millions of people. It will not be the same for everyone. It never is. Heaven works with surgical precision, striking exactly where each nation is most vulnerable and most needed. The first country, the one I mentioned earlier, the one where the signal starts in homes, will begin to experience something that many won't be able to put into words. There won't be a news report announcing it. It won't make the front pages, but inside homes the atmosphere will change. People who always filled the silence with television, music, or social media will begin to turn off the noise without realizing it. Not from physical exhaustion, but because something inside them will say, enough. Conversations will become shorter. Time will seem to stretch at certain moments, especially at night. In that country, many will wake up between 3 and 4 in the morning for no apparent reason. They will stare at the ceiling. They will feel a strange mixture of unease and nostalgia, as if something important were about to happen and they didn't know what it was. Some will cry for no clear reason. Others will feel an unexpected peace. Both effects will come from the same place, the heart being touched. The Virgin has shown that in this country, many mothers will feel a special urgency to protect. They won't know from what. They won't know when. They will only know that they must be vigilant, and that intuition will not be fear. It will be preventative grace. Starlight, if you feel something similar while listening to this, write Amen in the comments right now, along with the country you're watching from. Do it as an act of faith, and stay in this space, because we don't come here to watch, we come here to prepare. Now, let's move on to the second country. Here, the message will be more unsettling because it will directly touch upon this nation's strongest illusion, the feeling of control. The Virgin Mary has revealed that in this place, people will feel lost even though they have everything. They will have resources, information, technology, but not clarity. In the days leading up to December 12th, many will experience mental confusion. Simple decisions will seem complex. Paths that once seemed safe will begin to generate deep doubts. It won't be depression. It won't be clinical anxiety. It will be a spiritual break from autopilot. In this country, the sign will manifest as weariness of the soul. People will say, I'm tired, but I don't know why. I am successful, but empty. I am surrounded, but alone. And there, right there, the sky will have opened a crack. Because when the pride of the self-sufficient is exhausted, the possibility of looking upward arises. Many in this country will find faith not through tradition, but through inner defeat. They will realize they don't control everything. And that surrender will be the beginning of something new for some. Others, however, will harden their resolve. They will mock, they will deny, they will redouble their noise, their consumption, their haste. They will think that everything can be solved with more distraction. But this escape will be part of the inner judgment that each one will experience in silence. I won't say the name of this country yet, not because heaven wants to confuse, but because he wants you to identify the spirit before the map. Now listen carefully, because we are entering the third country. Here, the sign will not come as unease or emptiness, but as awakened memory. Stories that seemed buried will return. Words spoken years ago will reappear in the mind. Forgotten promises will weigh heavily once more. The Virgin Mary has shown that this country will enter a period of unexpected reconciliations. People who haven't spoken in years will feel an urgent need to do so. Not to argue, but to find closure, to ask for forgiveness, to let go of what weighs them down. Many will return to prayer quietly. They won't announce it. They won't publicize it. They will simply return to talking to God like someone returning home after a long war. In this country, the warning will touch the collective heart. There will be tears, yes, but not tears of panic. Tears that cleanse, tears that heal. Tears that make room for something new. Lucero, if while listening to this you feel the urge to reconcile with someone, don't ignore it. The sign doesn't always come from the sky like lightning. Often it comes as a name that returns to your mind. I won't say the name of this country yet, because now I must stop for a moment so that you fully understand what is to come. So far, we have spoken of signs that awaken, challenge, and heal. But the Virgin Mary has warned that all of this is only preparation for a crucial point. The fourth country is still to come, and that it will not be handled gently. That one will be tested. I won't say his name yet, but I will tell you this. In that country, the signal will be impossible to ignore. There, the heavens will allow the pressure to intensify, because much more than the world can imagine will depend on his response. There will be division. There will be mockery. There will be radical conversions. In that place, many will wake up suddenly, and many others will harden their hearts like never before. Stars, if you've come this far, you haven't made a mistake. Staying in this space is a spiritual decision. It's not just content, it's vigilance. That's why I'm telling you clearly but without forcing it. If you haven't yet joined this place of warning and preparation, do so now. Not for me, so you don't miss the next warnings. Because what's coming will be even more direct and even harder to ignore. Write Amen, write your country, and stay. In the next part, we will begin to name, to link the signal with geography, and you will understand why one of these countries will be the most affected. Not as punishment, but as a decisive scenario. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't fall asleep. The Virgin Mary is still revealing, and time keeps passing. Brothers, sisters, my beloved stars, we continue moving forward because the message now enters its most delicate phase. If you've come this far, you're no longer a casual listener. You're someone who chose to watch while others remain asleep. And that has spiritual consequences, even if the world doesn't understand. Before we continue, I want you to remember something. What you're hearing isn't meant to convince you. It's meant to realign you. The Virgin Mary doesn't speak to win arguments, she speaks to win hearts. And at this point in the message, the signal ceases to be vague and begins to take on much clearer contours. So far, we've seen how the warning first touches the inner self, then the mental structure, then the emotional memory. This is no coincidence. The heavens follow a perfect order. But now comes an important change. The signal begins to manifest outwardly, not as an immediate catastrophe, but as a visible symptom of something already happening within. The first country, the one that will begin to awaken within its homes, will start experiencing very specific situations in the days surrounding December 12th. They won't make headlines, but those who are attentive will notice them. Small breaks in family communication that force people to look each other in the eye. Unexpected moments of silence in the middle of gatherings, a feeling that words are unnecessary. In many homes in that country, the topic of religion will resurface unexpectedly. Someone will mention God without meaning to. Another will recall a childhood prayer. A forgotten image will be cleaned, not out of tradition, but as an intuitive refuge. The Virgin has shown that in this country, the warning acts as a gentle reminder. You are not alone, but it is time to return. Stars, this is not nostalgia. It is spiritual memory awakening. And now, listen carefully because it's time to give the first name. The country where the signal will begin inside homes, with silent unease and maternal protection, is Mexico. Mexico has been touched first not out of weakness, but out of protectiveness. The Virgin has walked its history in a special way, and now she knocks on its doors again, not with clamor, but with care. Mexico will be like an initial bell, not the loudest, but the first to ring. Mexican mothers will feel the warning before anyone else. Homes will feel a call to protect, to close ranks, to safeguard what is essential. There will be no panic, only a premonition. And those who heed that premonition will be one step ahead. If you're in Mexico, write Amen in the comments and stay put. Not out of pride, but because vigilance begins at home. Now let's move on. The second country, the one where the signal manifests as a breakdown of control, will begin to feel something new these days. A loss of collective direction. Not immediate chaos, something more unsettling, widespread doubts, unanswered questions, a feeling that the old narratives no longer work. In this country, the signal will leak into public and private conversations. Phrases like, "This doesn't make sense anymore," "Something doesn't add up," "We have everything, but something is wrong." The Virgin has revealed that the warning here works by dismantling false self-sufficiency. People accustomed to being in control will begin to feel that their tools are insufficient. They won't understand why, and that will present them with a choice, to open up or to harden themselves. Some will embark on a profound inner journey. Others will cling more tightly to the superficial. The division will become evident, though still silent. There will not be a single event, but rather an accumulation of small cracks in the collective security. This is the country where many will say, "I never thought I would need to believe in anything else." And now, it's time to name it. The country where the signal will shatter the illusion of control and open a massive spiritual void is the United States. The United States will not be affected materially first, but internally. The warning will dismantle the idea that everything can be sustained solely through force, speed, and power. Many will feel weariness without cause, saturation without explanation. And in that weariness, some will hear the voice they have always ignored. If you're in the United States, type Amen and stay. Not because everything will collapse tomorrow, but because what changes inside never goes back. Now, we're getting into something even deeper. The third country, the one where the signal awakens memory, will begin to experience something the modern world fears: collective emotion. Not chaos, but sensitivity. More frequent tears. Unfinished conversations resurfacing without warning. A need to close chapters. In this country, old arguments will lose their force. Old wounds will demand attention. Many will feel a renewed urgency to reconcile, to ask for forgiveness, to speak again with those they left behind. The Virgin has shown that in this place, the warning doesn't come as a threat, but as an opportunity to release old burdens. It will be an uncomfortable time, but healing. Many will weep without knowing exactly why, but they will feel relief afterward. The words, "I don't want to carry this burden anymore," will be heard more than once, and now, it's time to reveal it. The country where the signal will awaken the memory of the soul and open profound processes of reconciliation is Colombia. Colombia will be touched in its internal history, in its pain and in its hope. The warning there will act like a balm that burns before it heals. It won't be easy, but it will be real. If you are in Colombia, type Amen and stand firm. Morning stars. Now I want you to pay close attention. We've named 3 countries, 3 different forms of warning, 3 messages that escalate in intensity. But we haven't yet reached the heart of the message. One is missing. And that last country, it will not be prepared first. He will not be warned gently. It will be shaken. The Virgin Mary was very clear. There is a country where the sign will not arrive as a whisper, but as a confrontation. There the division will be visible. Heaven will allow tension, not as punishment, but because from that place will come a decisive response that will influence others. That country will feel the signal before dawn, with events that cannot be explained merely as coincidences. There will be confusion, public debate, disbelief, and at the same time, sudden conversions. Some will react with derision, others with immediate remorse. It will be the country where the warning will most clearly separate those who watch from those who laugh. I won't say his name yet, because first, you need to understand this. The sky does not reveal itself to inform, reveals in order to position. And if you're here, listening this far, your position is already being defined. Don't turn off your lamp. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't get distracted. Type Amen, type your country if you haven't already, and remain in this place of vigil. Because in the next part, we will go directly into the most affected country, and you will understand why December 12th will be remembered as a day of spiritual division. The Virgin Mary is not finished yet, and time keeps ticking. Brothers, sisters, my beloved stars, we now move on to the most intense part of the message, where silence ceases to be preparation and begins to transform into spiritual confrontation. If you have come this far, it is not out of curiosity, but because your spirit has been called to remain awake when others would rather laugh, deny, or become distracted. Before we delve fully into this section, I want you to understand something. The Virgin Mary doesn't reveal all at once what might break someone who isn't ready. Heaven doles out the truth like a doctor does with strong medicine, because truth, when it comes without preparation, can wound instead of heal. So far, we have seen how 3 countries have been affected in different ways. Mexico, with the intimate warning in homes, the maternal call, the silent protection. The United States, with the breakdown of control, the weariness of the soul, the collapse of self-sufficiency. Colombia, with memory awakening, tears that cleanse, reconciliations that hurt but liberate. 3 warnings, 3 movements, 3 collective hearts being aligned. But now we enter the 4th stage, and here the signal ceases to be smooth, ceases to be internal, ceases to be gradual. Here, the sky allows the shaking. The Virgin Mary has been clear. There is a country where the sign will not arrive as a whisper, but as a visible rupture. And not because that country is the worst, but because it has reached a critical point in its spiritual history. A point where half measures are no longer acceptable, where silence is no longer enough, where an impact is needed that forces a choice. Luceros, listen very carefully. This country will be the clearest mirror. What happens there will reveal what was already divided within, but hidden beneath superficial arguments, constant polarization, and perpetual noise. In this place, the signal will not first appear in homes, nor only in the mind, nor solely in emotion. It will appear in the social atmosphere, in the tone of the streets, in the relationships between people, in the way they speak, accuse, and defend themselves. The Virgin has shown that in this country, the days leading up to December 12th will be marked by an inexplicable, growing tension. Not necessarily immediate violence, but a heavy atmosphere, as if the air were thick with tension, as if any spark could ignite an argument, as if everyone were talking but no one was listening. Social media will be filled with contradictory messages. The media will exaggerate or downplay, depending on what suits them. Family conversations will become awkward. Friends will stop talking because of opposing opinions. And amidst all that noise, heaven will see who stands firm, who mocks, and who wakes up suddenly. This country will be tested because its internal divisions can no longer be swept under the rug. The Virgin has warned that the sign there will act like a bright light in a cluttered room. Nothing new will be created by the sign. Only what was already there will be clearly seen. Stars. This is where many will get confused. Because they will say, "This used to happen before. This is not a sign. We've always been like this." But the difference will be in the intensity and the timing. December 12th won't arrive as a spectacular surprise. It will arrive as the straw that breaks the camel's back. As the point where many will say, "We can't go on like this," but they won't know how to change, and that powerlessness will be part of the test. In this country, the Virgin has shown 2 clear and opposing reactions. On one hand, one group will grow in cynicism. They will mock more vehemently. They will ridicule everything spiritual. They will use irony as a shield. They will laugh at faith, at silence, at warnings. They will say that everything is exaggeration, manipulation, fanaticism. But on the other hand, and listen carefully, bright star, on the other hand, there will be radical awakenings. People you never imagined praying will pray. Those who mocked will cry. Hardened people will break in silence. It won't be an orderly process. It will be chaotic, but it will be real. This country will be the most affected, not because it suffers more, but because it will choose more clearly. There will be no room for lukewarmness. There will be no comfortable neutrality. Those who believe will truly believe. Those who scoff will scoff without restraint, and that separation will be painful, but necessary. Luceros, if at any point you feel inner resistance while listening to this, don't reject it. Observe it. Sometimes resistance is a sign that something true is touching an area we'd rather not look at. Before revealing the name of this country, I must tell you something else. The Virgin Mary has shown that what happens there will have repercussions in the other three, not immediately, not identically, but like an echo, because this country, whether one likes it or not, has a symbolic, cultural and spiritual weight that influences far beyond its borders. Their crises don't stay inside. His decisions do not go unnoticed. Their way of reacting sets a trend. That is why the heavens will allow a more intense signal there, not as punishment, but as a final call to coherence. Luceros, if you've made it this far, stop for a second and do this with me. Write Amen in the comments. Enter the country from where you are monitoring, and it remains connected to this space. It's not an empty gesture. It's a silent declaration that you choose not to go to sleep now. Now, yes, the time has come to say it. The country that will be most affected, the one that will experience the signal with the greatest social intensity, the one that will be shaken in its internal division and forced to choose, is Argentina. Argentina will be the stage where this warning will become most visible, not because it is condemned, but because it has reached a point where it can no longer sustain the contradiction between what it says and what it lives, between what it believes and what it denies, between its spiritual depth and its tendency to mock it. The Virgin Mary has shown that in Argentina the sign will not be intimate or discreet. It will be discussed, questioned, ridiculed, and also embraced wholeheartedly by many. There will be plazas filled with debate and homes filled with prayer. There will be shouts and there will be silence. There will be confrontation and there will be reconciliation. It will be a country divided between those who laugh and those who kneel. Stars of Argentina, if you are here, write Amen, not as a political banner, but as a spiritual act. Because in this time, your role will be key, not to convince, not to argue, but to hold the light when the noise is unbearable. But listen to me carefully. What I have revealed now is not the end of the message. We still need to understand exactly what will happen around December 12th, how these signs will interact with each other, and what role each star will play in this critical period. We still need to delve into the most delicate level, personal choice, the one no one sees but which defines everything. That's why I'm telling you clearly and without drama. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't share from a place of fear. It remains. The next part will go directly into the appointed day, the spiritual atmosphere surrounding it, and what the Virgin Mary expects from those who chose to listen to the end. Don't move, don't turn off your lamp, because now we are no longer talking about countries. We are talking about decisions. Brothers, sisters, my beloved stars, we have reached a point where it is no longer enough to simply observe what is happening outside. From here, the message descends from the collective to the personal, because the Virgin Mary has been clear. December 12th will not only be a day that affects countries, but a day that will test our inner resolve. So far, we've talked about territories, spiritual climates, and social reactions. But heaven doesn't measure nations like maps, but as collections of hearts. And the true weight of the sign will be revealed in what each person does when they understand that something has already changed, even if the world tries to remain the same. I want you to understand this with absolute clarity. December 12th will not begin with a single spectacular event. There will be no announced time. There will be no universal alarm. There will be no sky split in two for everyone at the same time. The sky works in a different way, much deeper, much more unsettling for those who need visible proof. The Virgin has revealed that on that day, the spiritual atmosphere will become denser, not dense as an immediate threat, but dense as a truth that can no longer be ignored. It will be like being in a room where something crucial has been said, and no one knows how to continue talking about trivialities. In Mexico, That day will feel like a time for reflection. Many will feel it's not a day for arguments, unnecessary noise, or excess. There will be a natural inclination towards silence, protecting the home, caring for children, and the desire to be together. Not everyone will understand why, but they will feel it. In the United States, December 12th will bring a sense of a breaking point, not necessarily an external collapse, but moments where decisions that seemed postponable can no longer be put off. People who have been ignoring internal conflicts will feel compelled to confront them. People who have been living in a state of distraction will realize that distraction is no longer enough. In Colombia, that day will be especially emotional. There will be unexpected, profound conversations. Messages that arrive just in time, encounters that seem chance encounters, but have been years in the making, tears that don't stem from fear, but from recognition. This had to happen. It will be a day of inner conflict, sincere forgiveness, and weariness that finally gives way. And in Argentina, December 12th will be an uncomfortable day for almost everyone. The Virgin Mary has shown that there the sign will translate into visible tension, not necessarily violence, but rather verbal confrontation, public arguments, and a more pronounced polarization. Positions will become more radicalized. Those who believe will believe more. Those who mock will mock more vehemently. And those who doubted will no longer be able to remain neutral. It won't be an easy day for Argentina's stars, because they'll have to choose between reacting or holding firm, between responding to the noise with more noise or becoming a point of calm in the midst of the storm. Luceros, this is where many go wrong. They believe that being a star means talking more, it's about shouting louder, it's about proving they're right, and not. The Virgin has been clear. The morning star does not shout, it illuminates. It doesn't provoke, it guides. He doesn't push, he supports. Therefore, this day will not test your ability to argue, but your ability to remain silent when silence is necessary, and to speak only when the word brings light and not more fire. Now listen to this very carefully, because it is one of the most delicate points of the message. The Virgin Mary has revealed that December 12th will be a day when many will feel the urge to make definitive decisions, and not all of them will be good. Some people will want to end relationships without discernment, others will want to confront without wisdom, still others will want to flee without having resisted. Not all impulse comes from heaven. Therefore, at this point, vigilance does not consist of acting quickly, but of discerning slowly. He who rushes into things on that day can easily be mistaken. He who pauses, prays, and observes will clearly see which movement is genuine and which arises from mere noise. Lutero, if you're listening to this and you feel strong emotions stirring inside you, don't repress them, but don't unleash them immediately either. Acknowledge them silently. Write them down if you need to. Cry them if they come. But don't turn them into a weapon. The Virgin has shown that many conflicts that would erupt on that day will be avoided if the stars maintain their position without reacting. Your stillness can be more powerful than 10 arguments. Now I want you to do this simple yet profound gesture again. Write Amen in the comments. Enter the country from where you are monitoring. And it remains in this space. It's not empty repetition, it's reaffirmation. Because as the message progresses, the commitment also deepens. The Virgin Mary has also warned that around that day, contradictory messages will emerge. Some people will say, nothing is wrong. Others will exaggerate. Still others will manipulate. Confusion will be part of the test. Don't look at every message. Don't try to absorb everything. Too much information dulls intuition. This will be a time to nurture the soul. Be mindful of what you consume. Be careful what you listen to. Be careful who you give your attention to, because what comes in determines what gets stronger. Luceros, December 12th will mark the beginning of a new phase. It won't be the end of anything, but rather the start of something that can no longer be stopped. Like a door that opens silently, but once open, completely changes the flow of the place. Many days later will say, "Something changed, but I don't know what." Others will say, "I knew something was coming." The difference will not be in what happened outside, but in how each one responded inside. And here comes a final warning for this part, which you should keep carefully. The Virgin Mary has shown that after December 12th, some relationships will cool. Not out of malice, but because they no longer resonate on the same level. Some conversations will lose their meaning, some friendships will become distant. And this isn't always a sign of a breakup. Sometimes it's a sign of readjustment. Don't try to force what is moving away. Don't chase what gets cold. Trust that what is meant to remain will remain. Lucero, your job is not to hold everything up. Your task is not to lose the light. Something is still missing. There is still a deeper layer to reveal. We haven't yet talked about the immediate aftermath, nor about the responsibility that will fall on those who listened before others. Therefore, don't close this message as if you were finishing a piece of content. Keep it open within you. Remain attentive. Remain humble. Remain steadfast. In the next part, we will delve into the aftermath, how the world will try to move forward, and how the stars will have to learn to navigate a new normal. Don't go. Don't get distracted. Don't turn off your lamp. The Virgin Mary still has something more to show. And it is not yet time to conclude. Brothers, sisters, my beloved stars, we are now entering a phase that many fail to recognize because it is quiet, doesn't make headlines, and doesn't spark immediate conversations. However, it is one of the most crucial. The Virgin Mary has revealed that after December 12th, when many think that nothing happened or that everything went back to normal, the most silent and decisive period will actually begin. The test of continuity. Because heaven doesn't measure waking up by just one day. You measure it by what you do afterwards. I want you to understand this with absolute clarity. The greatest danger lies not in the fear beforehand or the tension of the day itself, but in the relaxation that follows. In that moment when the world sighs with relief and says, "We're still here," that is the instant when many fall asleep, and few remain vigilant. The Virgin Mary has shown that after December 12th, a widespread sense of ambiguity will take hold. Some will say it was all over the top. Others will feel that something has changed, but won't be able to explain what. There will be debate, mockery, denial, and also awkward silence. Each country will experience it in its own way, but the pattern will be the same, the temptation to return to the way things were. In Mexico, after the date has passed, many homes will experience a strange calm that could be mistaken for "everything is fine." And therein lies the test, because that calm is not a sign that nothing happened, but rather a sign that the warning achieved its initial purpose. The Virgin has revealed that in Mexico the challenge will not be to react, but to remain spiritually vigilant. Returning to noise, distraction, indifference would be to extinguish a silent protection that has begun to take effect. Stars of Mexico, your role will not end on the appointed day. It will begin in small, everyday gestures, the caring word, the protective silence, the unspoken prayer. There it will be decided whether the signal was heard or only felt for a moment. In the United States, after December 12th, a very particular reaction will emerge: rationalization. Many will try to explain what they felt with technical arguments, psychological analyses, statistics, or convenient narratives. It won't be malice. It will be self-defense. Human beings protect themselves by explaining what they don't want to acknowledge. The Virgin Mary has shown that the real test there will be not to stifle unease with quick answers. Those who feel that something doesn't add up and rush to close the matter with superficial explanations will miss the opportunity for profound transformation. The warning sowed questions, not immediate answers. And those questions need time, silence, and humility to bear fruit. Stars in the United States, your vigilance will not consist of arguing or convincing, but in not betraying your inner discomfort, not numbing it, not silencing it, letting it mature. In Colombia, after the appointed day, there will be an intense but short emotional period. Many people will feel relief after having cried, reconciled, and let go of burdens. And that is good. But the Virgin has warned that the challenge will come later, not to take on again what has already been surrendered. Some, once the moment has passed, will try to justify old grudges. They will return to old narratives. They will wonder if they didn't go too far in forgiving, if they didn't show too much vulnerability. And therein lies the proof. Because what is truly released cannot be negotiated afterward. Heaven has opened a door. It will be up to each of us not to close it out of fear. Stars of Columbia, your path after the warning will be to learn to walk lightly, without returning to the previous weight, just out of habit. And now, we return to the country that will be most affected, not only in the warning, but in the aftermath. Argentina. The Virgin Mary has shown that after December 12th, Argentina will experience a prolonged period of repercussions. Not a single event, but a sequence of debates, discussions, reflections, and reactions that will continue. Many will try to impose their will, others will tire, and still others will look for someone to blame. The atmosphere will remain tense, even if it appears normal on the surface. The warning won't fade quickly in Argentina. It will remain an unsettling open question. What now? And that question will further divide opinions. Some will become more sarcastic, others more radical, and still others, the quietest, will choose to delve deeper. Stars of Argentina, your challenge will not be to confront the noise, but to avoid being contaminated by it. Do not absorb verbal violence. Do not react from a place of hurt. Become points of stability in an unstable environment. The Virgin Mary has been especially clear about this country. Many will try to turn off the signal by laughing at it. Others will want to appropriate it to impose their own narratives, and both paths will lead to wear and tear. The true morning star does not mock and does not impose. Observe, discern, remain. Now I want you to understand something that unites the 4 countries and all the stars, without exception. After the warning, life will go on. There will be work, there will be new information, there will be distractions, and that's the critical point. The Virgin Mary has said that the greatest risk is not outright rejection of the message, but its gradual dilution. This is when a genuine awakening slowly fades until it becomes a vague memory. Therefore, this subsequent period requires a different kind of vigilance, less emotional, more conscious. It's not about living in constant alert. It's about living with consistency. Decide what you feed your mind. With whom do you share your energy? Which battles do you choose, and which do you let pass? Lucero, if you've made it this far, you need to heed this gentle but firm warning. Not everyone who has woken up will stay awake. Some will fall back asleep from exhaustion, others from fear, others from social pressure. And that doesn't make them bad, but it does make them distracted. Therefore, remaining in this space of vigilance is not a formality, it is a protection, an anchor, a constant reminder that the process is not over. If you haven't done so today, write Amen in the comments. Enter the country from where you are monitoring, and it remains here, not as a follower, as guardian of your own light. The Virgin Mary has also revealed that, in this later period, there will be attempts to distort the message. People will exaggerate, invent new dates, and mix fear with speculation. This will confuse many, but the morning star will know the difference between warning and manipulation. The hallmark of the true message will always be the same. Does not incite panic, it does not promote hatred, it does not destroy inner peace. If something steals your peace, even if it's dressed up as spirituality, it doesn't come from heaven. Keep this safe. Luceros, we haven't reached the end point yet. One essential part is still missing, the concrete task that will fall to those who listened before others, not as a public mission, but as a silent responsibility. We will delve into that topic in the next part. We will talk about what is expected of each star in the following days, without grandiloquence, without false heroism, without empty promises. Don't leave now. Don't close this message. Don't turn off your lamp. Because the warning did not end on December 12th. That day only marked the beginning of something that continues to unfold. Brothers, sisters, my beloved stars, if you've reached this point, it's because your spirit has already grasped something many still haven't. The warning wasn't an event, it was an activation. And every activation brings with it a silent responsibility. Not a visible mission, not a public role, but a way of being in the world that from now on can no longer be the same. The Virgin Mary has revealed that in this phase, the stars enter a different time. It is not a time of alarm or shock. It is a time of continuous discernment, where the greatest test comes not from outside, but from the routine that tries to swallow up what has been experienced. Because you should listen to this very carefully. The enemy of awakening is not always the opposition. Often it's the norm, to talk about the same thing again, to react the same way again, to go back to living as if nothing had been touched. The Mother has shown that many, after the warning, will feel a kind of inner weariness. Not from fear, but from emotional exhaustion. There will be those who think, I understand now, it's over, now I move on. And without realizing it, they will begin to let go of the gentle vigilance that had protected them. Luceros, true vigilance is not tension. It is presence. It's getting up and listening to how you speak. It's about observing how you react. It's noticing when an argument is trying to steal your peace. In Mexico, during this period, the Virgin has shown that the stars will be called upon to support others without imposing their will. There will be family members, friends and neighbors who will experience belated confusion. People who were unprepared beforehand will now feel uneasy. They will seek quick answers. They will crave certainty. They will want someone to tell them what to do. And here comes a key warning. Don't become an oracle. Don't become a judge. Don't carry what isn't yours to bear. The Virgin Mary doesn't ask you to explain. She asks you to accompany. Sometimes a quiet presence is worth more than 100 spiritual words. Sometimes loving silence opens more doors than any speech. In the United States, the spiritual leaders will feel a different kind of pressure. There, the challenge will be not to harden their resolve. After the warning, many will react with heightened cynicism as a defense mechanism. The intellectual climate will become more ironic, more critical, and quicker to ridicule the spiritual. The temptation there will be to respond with spiritual pride, with superiority, with distance. But the Mother has been clear. The morning star does not respond from above. It responds from within. It does not place itself above. It stands firm without attacking. There will be conversations where you'll feel like leaving. And that's okay. There will be other times when a simple word, without confrontation, will open a crack in the other person's shell, and that will be enough. In Colombia, during this time, many will feel an intense calling to sort out their emotions. The awakening has stirred deep layers, and now comes the time to integrate. The Virgin has shown that there will be ups and downs, days of clarity, days of nostalgia, days of doubt. Don't panic if you don't feel on fire all the time. Mature faith doesn't constantly shout, it beats. In Colombia, the danger will be confusing emotion with faith, seeking to recapture the intensity of the awakening as if it were a constant test. But Mother teaches that after the fire comes tending the embers. That's where it's determined whether something endures or dies out. And now, we're going back to Argentina, because in this region, Argentina will not only be the most affected country, It will also be the most exposed field for the awakened. The Virgin has shown that there will be constant attempts to drag the awakened into endless discussions, factions, ideologies, and exhausting verbal confrontations. The noise will be loud. The provocation will be constant, the mockery will be refined, and the real challenge will not be to resist with strength, but to not lose meekness. Stars of Argentina, listen to this carefully. Not everything that outrages you deserves your reaction. Not every joke needs a response. Not every conversation is worth your energy. The bright star that survives this period is not the one who wins debates, but the one who remains unscathed until the end of the day. The Virgin has shown that many will exhaust themselves trying to explain the inexplicable to those who refuse to listen. That is not a mission, it is burnout. Save your strength for those who need it. Now I want to reveal something that unites the four countries in a subtle but profound way. The Virgin Mary has said that, after the warning, there will be small, everyday decisions that will seem insignificant, but which will carry enormous spiritual weight. Simple things: choosing not to respond harshly, choosing to retire in time, choose to pray silently instead of speaking, choose to take care of your rest, choosing not to consume everything that is said. These choices form an invisible safety net, not individual, collective. Stars, no one walks alone. Even if you feel isolated in your surroundings, there are thousands holding the same thing from other countries, other cities, other homes. That's why, once again, this gesture is important. Write Amen in the comments. Write the country from where you are monitoring. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Not because of numbers, due to permanence. Because this space functions as a silent meeting point for those who chose not to fall completely asleep. The Mother has also shown that during this time, some of the stars will doubt themselves. They will think, perhaps I exaggerated, perhaps I didn't understand correctly, perhaps this wasn't such a big deal. That doubt is not a sin. It is part of the process. The key is not to eliminate doubt, but not to let it guide you. Doubting is not going back. Giving up surveillance, yes. There will be ordinary days. There will be new news that will try to replace what we've experienced. There will be external emergency services, and yet something inside you will know that you can no longer live the same way. That's the brand. Luceros, there's still one more layer to go. We haven't yet discussed the deeper meaning of all this, nor what remains when the noise finally fades. Not a spectacular ending, but a quiet understanding that transforms the way we see the world. In the next part, we will enter that threshold. It won't be dramatic, it won't be noisy, it will be decisive. Don't close this message like you're ending a story. Stay alert, remain humble, stay awake, because still, the Virgin Mary has not said her last word. Brothers, sisters, my beloved stars, we've reached the point where the message doesn't end. It's sealed. Because what you've heard wasn't meant to end with an amen and fade away, but to stay with you from now on. If you felt that something inside you remained alert throughout this journey, it was no coincidence. The Virgin Mary doesn't call just once. She gathers, she commands. She speaks again to the same hearts that knew how to listen in silence. I want to tell you this with absolute truth. This channel doesn't exist for a video, a topic, or a date. It exists for the bright minds who understand that vigilance is a journey, not a moment. Many messages are forgotten, but the messages that come back, those are what make a family. So if you're still here, don't close this space. Seal your presence. Subscribe to the channel now and activate your internal reminder, because each message will be released at the same time, like a silent appointment between heaven and those who decide to return. We don't promise noise here. We promise continuity. We don't chase fleeting emotions here. We build discernment. And let me tell you something else, my star. Those who always return at the same time are spiritually recognized as guardians of the threshold. those who do not arrive out of curiosity, but because of a calling. Before you leave this sign visible. Write Amen in the comments. Enter the country from which you are monitoring. And if this message spoke to your spirit, subscribe now. Don't do it for me. Do it so you don't walk alone, because what's coming won't be explained in a single message. It will be delivered in layers to those who return, to those who wait, to those who are not satisfied with just one voice. Lucero, I'll wait for you here, in the same place, at the same time. Keep your lamp on, because the voice of heaven always speaks again.